The year was 2347. Humans had joined the Galactic Coalition 15 years ago. They were the newest species in the group. 32 alien races were part of the coalition. Most of them thought humans were weak and young. They looked down on Earth and its people. Danny Cortez did not care about any of this. He was a simple man with a simple job. He fixed things on the space station called Hope's Light. It was Earth's biggest station in orbit. Every day, Danny woke up, put on his blue uniform, and went to work. He fixed pipes. He repaired machines. He made sure the air systems worked properly. Danny was 29 years old. He came from a small town in New Mexico. His father had left when Danny was 10. His mother raised him alone. She worked 2 jobs to feed him and his 2 sisters. Danny learned early that life was hard. You had to work with your hands. You had to solve problems. Nobody was going to help you. He joined the Space Corps when he was 22. The pay was good. He liked working with machines. They made sense to him. Machines did not lie. They did not leave. If something was broken, you could fix it. On this particular day, Danny was walking through Corridor 7. He had a wrench in his back pocket and a coffee cup in his hand. There was a problem with the air system in Section 12. Someone had reported strange smells. Danny figured it was probably a filter that needed changing. He did not know that this day would change his life forever. The station was busier than usual. Danny noticed more guards in the hallways. He saw officers in their fancy dress uniforms. Something important was happening, but nobody had told him about it. Maintenance workers were always the last to know anything. Then he turned a corner and stopped. The corridor was full of people. Admirals, politicians, important men and women in expensive clothes. They all stood in 2 neat lines along the walls. Their eyes were fixed on something at the far end of the hall. Danny should have turned around. He should have found another way to Section 12. But curiosity got the better of him. He took a few steps forward and looked. What he saw made him forget to breathe. They were tall, very tall, 7 feet at least. Their skin was silver and seemed to glow with soft light. They had 4 eyes each, all of them a deep purple color. They moved like water, smooth and graceful. Their robes were made of material that shifted colors as they walked. Danny had heard about the Valorians. Everyone had. They were the oldest civilization in the known galaxy. They had been traveling among the stars when humans still lived in caves. Their technology was so advanced that human scientists could not even understand how it worked. And their royal family was the most powerful in all of Coalition space. There were 6 of them walking down the corridor. 5 appeared to be guards or servants. But the one in the middle was different. She wore a crown of floating crystals that circled her head. Her silver skin had patterns that pulsed with soft blue light. She was beautiful in a way that made Danny's chest feel tight. This was Princess Alindra Vorthas, heir to the Valorian Empire. One of the most important beings in the entire galaxy. Danny knew he should move. He should bow. He should do something. But his feet would not listen to his brain. He just stood there like a fool, holding his coffee cup, staring at her with his mouth slightly open. Admiral Patricia Dawson was speaking. She was the highest-ranking officer on the station. Her voice was nervous but clear. Your Highness, we are deeply honored by your visit. Humanity hopes to strengthen our ties with the Valorian Empire. We have prepared a presentation of our recent achievements in... The princess raised her hand. Admiral Dawson stopped talking immediately. I did not come here for presentations, Princess Alindra said. Her voice was strange. It had layers to it, like many people speaking at once in perfect harmony. The sound made Danny shiver. Everyone waited. Nobody moved. I have lived for 347 years, the princess continued. For the past 100 years, I have traveled to every world in the coalition. I have met millions of beings, kings, warriors, scholars, artists. She paused. Her 4 purple eyes moved slowly across the crowd of human officials. According to the ancient laws of my people, I must choose a consort, a husband, someone who will stand beside me when I take the throne. For 100 years, I searched. I found no one worthy. Danny felt his heart beating fast. Something was about to happen. He could feel it in the air. The princess turned. Her eyes moved past the admirals, past the politicians, past all the important people in their fancy clothes. Her gaze traveled down the corridor until it landed on Danny. He felt those 4 purple eyes lock onto him like a physical force. His coffee cup slipped from his fingers and fell to the floor. The sound of it breaking was the only noise in the silent corridor. "That one," Princess Alindra said. She raised one long silver finger and pointed directly at Danny. "He will be my husband." Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Danny was not sure if he was still breathing. Admiral Dawson's mouth opened and closed several times. No words came out. The politicians looked at each other with wide eyes. The other Valorians seemed just as surprised as the humans. "Your Highness," one of the Valorian guards said carefully, "this is a human. A worker. He is not." "I know what he is," the princess said. Her voice was calm but firm. "I have made my decision. The ancient laws are clear. Once I choose, the choice cannot be undone." She started walking toward Danny. The crowd parted for her like waves moving away from a ship. Each step she took was slow and deliberate. Danny wanted to run. He wanted to hide. He wanted to wake up from this crazy dream. But his body refused to move. All he could do was stand there and watch as the most powerful princess in the galaxy walked toward him. She stopped 2 feet away. This close, he could see that her silver skin was not solid. It was made of millions of tiny lights, like stars in a clear night sky. Her purple eyes studied him with an expression he could not read. "What is your name?" she asked. Danny swallowed hard. "Danny," he said. His voice came out rough and quiet. "Danny Cortez." "Danny Cortez," she repeated. The way she said his name made it sound like music. "You do not look afraid." "I am very afraid," Danny said honestly. The princess smiled. It was a small smile, just a tiny curve of her lips. But something about it made her seem less like a distant goddess and more like a real person. "Good," she said. "That means you are honest. I have had enough of liars." She turned to face the stunned crowd. "Prepare the bonding ceremony," she announced. "I have found my consort. Let the coalition know that the Valorian Empire will be joined with humanity." The silence broke. Suddenly, everyone was talking at once. Officers were shouting orders. Politicians were making calls. The whole station erupted into chaos, but Danny just stood there, looking at the broken coffee cup on the floor, wondering how his simple life had just become the most complicated thing in the galaxy. 2 hours after the princess pointed at him, Danny found himself sitting in a room he had never seen before. It was on the top floor of the station. The walls were made of glass. He could see Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. He had fixed pipes on this station for 7 years. He never knew this room existed. The table in front of him was made of real wood. That was expensive. Very expensive. Wood had to be brought up from Earth. Most things in space were made of metal or plastic. Around the table sat 12 people. Danny did not know most of them, but he recognized Admiral Dawson. Her face was pale. She kept rubbing her temples like she had a headache. A man in a gray suit spoke first. His name was Howard Price. He was the Secretary of Galactic Affairs. Danny had seen him on the news before. He was the person who spoke for humanity in coalition matters. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Secretary Price said. He looked at Danny like he was trying to solve a difficult math problem. You are a maintenance technician. 3rd class. You fix air filters and water pipes. Yes, sir, Danny said. You have never met Princess Alien before today. No, sir. You did not speak to her. You did not signal her. You did not do anything to attract her attention. I was just walking to Section 12. There was a smell complaint. I think it was the filter in... I do not care about the filter, Secretary Price interrupted. He leaned back in his chair and let out a long breath. The Valorian Empire has existed for 100,000 years. They have never, not once, chosen a consort from outside their own species. Do you understand what this means? Danny shook his head. He did not understand. None of this made sense to him. A woman at the end of the table spoke up. She had kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a bun. I am Dr. Linda Morrison, she said. I study alien cultures. I have spent 30 years learning about the Valorians. Then maybe you can explain this, Admiral Dawson said. Because I have been talking to Coalition Command for the past hour. They think this is some kind of joke. Dr. Morrison shook her head. It is not a joke. The Valorians do not make jokes about their royal succession. What happened today is real, and it is very, very important. She looked at Danny with something like sympathy. The Valorian bonding ritual is sacred. When a royal heir reaches a certain age, they must choose a consort. The choice is final. It cannot be changed. If Princess Alien says you will be her husband, then by their law, you will be her husband. Unless what? Danny asked. Unless you refuse. You have that right. No one can force you into this. Danny felt a small bit of hope. He could refuse. He could go back to his normal life. He could fix pipes and drink coffee and pretend this never happened. But, Dr. Morrison continued, if you refuse, it would be a great insult to the Valorian Empire. They might see it as humanity rejecting them. It could damage relations between our species for generations. The hope died as quickly as it had appeared. Secretary Price stood up and walked to the window. He stared at Earth for a long moment. You are just one man, he said quietly. A maintenance worker from New Mexico. But right now, the future of humanity's place in the galaxy rests on your shoulders. If you accept, you will become Prince Consort to the most powerful empire in coalition space. Humanity will have a voice at the highest levels of galactic politics. He turned to look at Danny. If you refuse, we become enemies of an empire that could destroy us without effort. They have weapons that make our best ships look like toys. They have technology we cannot even dream of. Danny felt sick. His hands were shaking. He had woken up this morning worried about a bad smell in Section 12. Now the fate of his entire species depended on his answer. Can I have some time to think? He asked. The princess has requested to speak with you, Admiral Dawson said. Alone. After that, you can have time to decide. They led Danny to another room. This one was smaller. There were 2 chairs facing each other. The walls were a soft blue color. It was quiet. Danny could hear his own heartbeat. He waited. After 10 minutes, the door opened. Princess Alien walked in. She was alone. No guards, no servants. Just her. She sat down across from Danny. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. You are confused, she finally said. It was not a question. Yes, Danny admitted. Very confused. There were admirals in that corridor. Senators. Scientists. Important people. Why did you choose me? The princess tilted her head. The crystals floating around her crown moved with her, catching the light. I have met many admirals, she said. Many senators. Many scientists. They all looked at me the same way. They saw power. They saw opportunity. They saw a chance to advance their own interests. And me? You were different. When you looked at me, I sensed something else. Curiosity. Wonder. You were not thinking about what I could give you. You were simply looking at me. Seeing me. Danny thought about that moment in the corridor. She was right. He had not been thinking about politics or power. He had just thought she was beautiful. And tired. She had looked tired. I thought you looked sad, Danny said. Lonely, maybe. Even with all those people around you. Princess Alindra went very still. Her 4 purple eyes blinked slowly. No one has ever said that to me before, she said softly. In 300 years, no one has ever noticed. I am sorry. I did not mean to. Do not apologize. It was the truth. I am lonely. I have been lonely for a very long time. She looked down at her hands. My people believe that emotions are weaknesses. We are taught from birth to hide what we feel. To be cold. To be perfect. I spent my whole life pretending I did not feel anything. Danny did not know what to say. He had never been good with words. But he understood loneliness. He had felt it many times in his life. After his father left. After he moved away from home. Those long nights in space when everything felt empty and far away. That sounds hard, he said simply. It is. She looked up at him again. Your species is strange to us. You feel things so strongly. You cry. You laugh. You love with your whole hearts, even though you know you will only live for a short time. My people find this confusing. Some find it disgusting. But she paused, searching for words. I find it beautiful. We are not special, Danny said. We make mistakes all the time. We hurt each other. We fight wars over stupid things. Yes, you are imperfect. But you keep trying anyway. You hope even when there is no reason to hope. That is something my people lost long ago. She reached out and took his hand. Her skin was warm. Warmer than he expected. The tiny lights under his silver skin pulsed gently where they touched. I am not asking you to love me, she said. That would be unfair. We do not know each other. But I'm asking you to give me a chance. To try. To be honest with me, even when honesty is difficult. Danny looked at their hands together. Hers so strange and beautiful. His so ordinary. Rough from years of work. Different in every way. But somehow, right now, they fit. I need to ask one question, Danny said. Ask. If I say yes, will I have to stop being myself? Will I have to become someone different? Someone fancy and political and fake? Princess Alindra smiled. It was the same small smile from the corridor. But this time, it reached her eyes. I chose you because you are yourself, she said. If I wanted someone fancy and political, I had a million choices. I want Danny Cortez, the man who fixes pipes and drinks coffee and notices when someone is lonely. Danny took a deep breath. He thought about his mother. She had always told him that the scariest choices were usually the right ones. That life was too short to play it safe. He looked at the alien princess holding his hand. The most powerful woman in the galaxy. And also, somehow, the loneliest. Okay, he said. Let us try. Her smile grew wider. For a moment, she looked almost human. Thank you, she whispered. You will not regret this. Danny was not sure about that. But for the first time since this crazy day began, he felt something other than fear. He felt hope. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Within one day, every planet in the coalition knew about the human maintenance worker who had been chosen by the Valorian princess. Some celebrated. Many laughed. A few were very, very angry. Ambassador Kethral of the Dominion of Shadows was the angriest of all. The Dominion was powerful. They had been part of the Coalition for 6,000 years. Their home world was a dark planet where the sun barely reached the surface. They lived in underground cities made of black stone. Their bodies were thin and tall. Their skin was gray. Their eyes glowed red in the darkness. For centuries, the Dominion had tried to form an alliance with the Valorian Empire. They had sent gifts. They had offered treaties. They had presented their finest princes as potential consorts for the royal family. Every time, the Valorians said no. Now a human, a member of a species that had only been in space for a few hundred years, had succeeded where the Dominion failed. Ambassador Kethral called for an emergency meeting of the Coalition Council. His voice echoed through the great hall like thunder. "This is wrong," he declared. His gray hand slammed down on the speaker's platform. "Humans are children. They still fight wars among themselves. They pollute their own planet. They have contributed nothing to Coalition space. And now one of them will stand beside the Valorian throne?" Representatives from other species shifted in their seats. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked uncomfortable. "The princess has made her choice," said the Valorian representative. Her name was Elder Mothra. She was old, even by Valorian standards. Her silver skin had turned pale gray with age. "According to our ancient laws, the choice is final. This matter is not open for debate. Your laws are your own," Kethral said. "But this affects all of us. The Valorian Empire is the strongest power in the galaxy. Whoever stands beside your throne has influence over the entire Coalition. Are we truly going to accept that this influence will go to a pipe fixer from Earth?" Danny watched all of this from a viewing gallery high above the council chamber. 2 Valorian guards stood beside him. They had been assigned to protect him after the first death threats arrived. There had been 17 threats in the past week. Most came from the Dominion. Some came from other species who disliked humans. A few came from humans themselves. People who thought Danny was somehow betraying his own kind by accepting the princess's offer. Princess Alindra appeared beside him. She moved so quietly that Danny did not hear her approach. "They hate you," she said simply. Danny nodded. "I noticed. The Dominion especially. They have wanted an alliance with my family for 3,000 years. You have succeeded where they failed. They will never forgive you for that. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No, it is supposed to prepare you." She turned to face him. Her 4 purple eyes were serious. "They will try to stop the bonding ceremony. They will try to prove you are unworthy. If they cannot do that, they will try to kill you." Danny felt cold. He had faced danger before. Once, a section of the station lost pressure while he was inside. He had to seal the breach with his bare hands while the air was being sucked out into space. But that was an accident. A machine failing. This was different. These were people who wanted him dead on purpose. "I am just a maintenance worker," Danny said quietly. "I fix things. I am not a warrior or a politician. I do not know how to fight against something like this." "You do not need to be a warrior," Alindra said. "You need to be yourself. That is what they fear most." Danny did not understand. How could being himself scare anyone? He was nobody. Just a regular guy who was good with a wrench. "My people value logic above all else," the princess explained. "We believe that emotions make you weak. The Dominion is similar. They value cunning and power. They understand how to fight against warriors and politicians. But they do not understand humans. What is so hard to understand about us?" Alindra smiled slightly. "Everything. You are illogical. You make decisions based on feelings instead of facts. You fall in love with people you have just met. You sacrifice yourselves for strangers. You hope when there is no logical reason to hope. My people have been studying humans since you joined the coalition. We still cannot predict what you will do." Down in the council chamber, Ambassador Kethril was still speaking. His voice had grown louder, more angry. "I demand a formal challenge," he shouted. "If this human wishes to stand beside the Valorian throne, let him prove he is worthy. Let him face the ancient trials. Let him show us that humanity deserves this honor." A murmur went through the crowd. Many representatives looked surprised. Some looked worried. Elder Mothra was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke. "The trial of echoes has not been performed in 6,000 years. It was designed for a time when our empire was young and surrounded by enemies. To call for it now, are you afraid?" Kethril interrupted. "Are you afraid that your chosen consort will fail? If he is truly worthy, the trial should be no problem for him." The old Valorian's expression did not change, but Danny could see tension in the way she held herself. "Very well," Elder Mothra said. "If the human accepts, the trial of echoes will be performed. But know this, Ambassador. If he passes, your challenge is over. You will not be able to question this union again." Kethril smiled. His red eyes glowed brighter. "I accept those terms. I am certain the human will fail." Danny turned to Lindra. "What is the trial of echoes?" The princess was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. "It is a test. Our ancient rulers created it to judge the worth of anyone who wished to join the royal bloodline. The trial uses technology to look into your mind. It finds your deepest fears, your darkest memories, your worst mistakes. Everything you have ever hidden from the world is brought out into the open, shown to everyone watching." Danny felt his stomach drop. "Everyone?" "The trial takes place in the Crystal Amphitheater on my home world. 10,000 Valorians will be watching, and it will be broadcast across the coalition. Billions of beings will see inside your mind." Danny thought about all the things he had tried to forget. The time he cried for weeks after his father left. The jobs he failed at before joining the Space Corps. The people he had disappointed. The mistakes that kept him awake at night. Thought all of that, shown to the entire galaxy. "I should warn you," Alendra said. "Many beings have taken this trial. Most did not survive. Not because it killed them physically, but because they could not live with having their secrets exposed. Their shame destroyed them." Danny was quiet for a long time. Below, the council was ending its session. Representatives were leaving the chamber. Ambassador Kethril looked very pleased with himself. "What happens if I refuse the trial?" Danny asked. "Then they will say you are a coward. That humanity is not worthy of this alliance. The Dominion will use it to turn other species against your people. In the end, refusing might be worse than failing." It was not really a choice. Danny could see that now. He had to face this trial. There was no other option. "When does it happen?" he asked. "In 10 days. On Valoria Prime, my home world." Danny nodded slowly. 10 days to prepare himself for having his soul torn open in front of the galaxy. "Okay," he said. "I will do it." Alendra looked at him. For a moment, her calm expression cracked. He saw worry in her eyes. Maybe even fear. "You do not have to pretend to be brave," she said. "Not with me." Danny laughed. It was a short, tired laugh. "I am not pretending," he said. "I am scared out of my mind. But that is okay. Being scared does not mean you cannot do something. It just means you are awake." The princess studied him with those 4 purple eyes. Then, slowly, she reached out and took his hand. "My people have forgotten how to be afraid," she said. "We removed the emotions centuries ago. We thought it made us weak. But watching you now, I wonder if we were wrong." Danny squeezed her hand gently. "Fear is not the enemy," he said. "Giving up is. My mother used to tell me that. She was afraid every single day of her life. But she never gave up." "Not once?" Alindra smiled. It was a real smile, the kind that made her look almost human. "I am glad I chose you, Danny Cortez," she said. "Whatever happens in the trial, I want you to know that." Danny smiled back, even though his heart was racing. "Let us hope you still feel that way after the galaxy sees all my embarrassing memories." Valoria Prime was the most beautiful world Danny had ever seen. 3 moons hung in a purple sky. The cities were made of crystal that caught the light and scattered it into rainbows. Towers rose so high that they disappeared into the clouds. Rivers of liquid silver flowed through the streets like blood through veins, but Danny could not enjoy any of it. In 2 hours, the trial of echoes would begin. His whole body felt cold. His hands would not stop shaking. He stood in a small room at the base of the crystal amphitheater. Through the window, he could see crowds of Valorians moving toward the entrance. 10,000 of them would watch him today. Billions more would watch on screens across the galaxy. The door opened. Alindra walked in. She wore formal robes of deep blue. The floating crystals around her crown moved slowly, like planets orbiting a star. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Like I want to throw up," Danny said honestly. She nodded. "That is understandable." She walked over to stand beside him at the window. "I want you to know that whatever happens today, I do not regret choosing you." "You keep saying that." "What if I fail? What if I embarrass you in front of your entire empire?" "You will not embarrass me. You do not know that. You have not seen inside my head. There are things in there that I am not proud of. Mistakes I made. People I hurt. Times when I was weak or stupid or selfish." Alindra turned to face him. Her 4 purple eyes were calm and steady. "Danny, every being in this galaxy has made mistakes. Every being has secrets they are ashamed of. The trial is not about being perfect. It is about showing who you truly are. The good and the bad. The strong and the weak. Then what is the point? Why expose all of that? Because honesty is the foundation of trust. My people believe that if you can face your own truth in front of everyone without breaking, then you are worthy of standing beside the throne." A bell rang somewhere in the distance. It was deep and low. Danny felt it in his bones. "It is time," Alindra said. They walked together through long hallways of white crystal. Valorian guards lined the walls. Their faces showed no emotion. Danny wondered what they were thinking. Did they respect him? Did they hate him? Did they think he was going to fail? The doors to the amphitheater opened. Danny stepped inside and stopped breathing. The space was enormous. Rows of seats rose up in circles, higher and higher, until they vanished in the distance. Every seat was filled. 10,000 Valorians sat in perfect silence. Their silver skin glowed softly in the dim light. 20,000 purple eyes watched Danny walk to the center of the chamber. In the middle was a raised platform. Strange machines surrounded it. They looked like trees made of metal and glass. Light pulsed through them like blood through veins. Elder Mothra stood at the edge of the platform. Her ancient face was serious. "Danny Cortez of Earth," she said. Her voice echoed through the amphitheater. "You have been chosen by Princess Alindra Vorthus to be her consort. Today, you will face the trial of echoes. The machines will look into your mind. They will find your deepest memories, your greatest fears, your darkest secrets. Everything will be shown to those watching." She paused. Her gray eyes met his. "If you survive this trial with your spirit intact, you will be judged worthy. If you break, you will be judged unworthy. Do you understand?" "Yes," Danny said. His voice was quiet but steady. Do you accept this trial freely? No one is forcing you. You may still refuse. Danny thought about his mother, about all the times she faced impossible situations and kept going anyway, about everyone on Earth who was watching, hoping he would make them proud. I accept, he said. Elder Mothra nodded. Then let the trial of echoes begin. The machines around the platform came to life. Light flowed through them faster and faster. Danny felt something touch his mind. It was cold. It went deep. It found memories he had buried long ago. Suddenly, the air above the platform shimmered. An image appeared. It was a small house in New Mexico. A young boy sat on the front steps, crying. Danny recognized himself. He was 10 years old. This was the day his father left. The memory played out for everyone to see. Young Danny watching his father drive away, running after the car, falling in the dirt, crying until he had no tears left. His father abandoned him. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Look at how weak he was." A child crying in the dirt. The memory shifted. Now Danny was 18. He was sitting in a room, holding a paper. It was his exam results. He had failed. Again. This was the third time he had tried to get his certification. He failed repeatedly, another voice said. How can such a person be worthy? More memories came. Danny saw himself arguing with his mother, saying things he regretted. He saw himself drunk at a bar after being fired from a job. He saw every mistake, every failure, every moment of weakness. The crowd murmured. Some shook their heads. Others looked disgusted. Danny felt shame burning through him. He wanted to run. He wanted to hide. He wanted the machines to stop. But then the memories changed. Now he was 23. He was on a space station. Alarms were screaming. A section had lost pressure. People were dying. Danny watched himself run toward the danger while everyone else ran away. He saw himself crawl through a broken corridor. His hands were bleeding. His lungs were burning. But he kept going. He reached the breach. It was too big to seal with the emergency equipment. So he used his own body. He pressed his hands against the hole and held on while the pressure tried to tear him apart. He held on for 47 minutes. Until help arrived. Until everyone was safe. He saved 400 lives that day, a voice said. It was Elder Mothra. He almost died. But he did not let go. Another memory appeared. Danny was working at a station. A young woman was dying. Her name was Maria. She was a botanist. An experiment had gone wrong. There was nothing the doctors could do. Danny sat with her for 3 days. He held her hand. He told her stories about Earth, about the desert, about the stars. He stayed with her until the very end. She was a stranger, Elder Mothra said. He had no reason to stay, but he did not leave her to die alone. More memories came. Danny sending money to his mother every month. Danny teaching young workers how to fix machines. Danny staying late to help co-workers who were struggling. Small acts of kindness that he never thought anyone noticed. The crowd was silent now. The disgust had faded from their faces. Finally, the machine showed one last memory. It was from the corridor on Hope's Light. The moment when Danny first saw Alendra. Through his eyes, the crowd saw he saw. Not a princess. Not a political opportunity. Just a beautiful being who looked tired and lonely. And they felt what he felt. Not ambition. Not greed. Just wonder. And the simple thought that someone should ask her if she was okay. The machines went dark. The trial was over. Danny stood on the platform, breathing hard. He felt empty. Like everything inside him had been poured out for the world to see. The amphitheater was completely silent. Then Elder Mothra spoke. I have lived for 12,000 years. I have seen the trial of echoes performed on warriors and kings, on beings of great power and intelligence. Many of them broke. Their shame destroyed them. She looked at Danny with something like respect in her ancient eyes. This human stands before us with all his weakness exposed, all his failures visible, and yet he does not break. He does not hide. He accepts who he is, the good and the bad, and he keeps standing. She raised her hand and pressed her palm to her chest. It was the Valorian gesture of deep respect. The human is worthy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a Valorian in the front row stood. She pressed her palm to her chest. Then another, and another. One by one, all 10,000 Valorians rose to their feet. Every single one of them made the gesture of respect. Danny felt tears running down his face. He did not try to hide them. In a viewing chamber far above, Ambassador Kethral watched with red eyes burning. His hands were clenched so tight that his gray skin had turned white. His plan had failed. The human had passed, and now nothing could stop the bonding. The day of the bonding ceremony arrived. The capital city of Valoria Prime was filled with lights. Ships from every corner of the galaxy flew overhead. Beings of all species walked through the crystal streets. Nothing like this had happened in 12,000 years. Danny stood in front of a mirror in his dressing room. He wore the ceremonial robes of a Valorian prince. They were made of material that shifted colors when he moved. A thin crown of silver sat on his head. He looked like a stranger. His mother was there. She had arrived 3 days ago on a coalition ship. When she first saw Danny in his royal quarters, she had cried for an hour. Now she stood beside him, adjusting his collar with hands that shook slightly. "My little boy," she said softly. "A prince. Your father would not believe it." Danny smiled. "I do not believe it either." His mother looked at him with eyes full of pride and worry. "Are you happy? Really happy? Not just doing this because you feel like you have to?" Danny thought about the question carefully. 2 weeks ago, he would have said no. He had been scared and confused and overwhelmed. But now, after everything he had been through, he knew the answer. "Yes," he said. "I am happy. Alindra is. She's not what I expected. She is kind. She is honest. She makes me feel like I matter. Not because of what I can do for her, but because of who I am." His mother smiled. Tears were forming in her eyes again. "That is all I ever wanted for you. Someone who sees the real you." A soft chime sounded. It was time. Danny hugged his mother tight. Then he walked out of the room and into his new life. The bonding ceremony took place in the Grand Temple of Light. It was the oldest building on Valoria Prime. The walls were made of crystal so pure that you could see the 3 moons through them. Light from the setting sun filled the space with colors that had no names in any human language. Thousands of guests filled the temple, Valorians in their finest robes, coalition diplomats from 32 species, even some humans who had traveled across the galaxy to witness this moment. Danny saw Admiral Dawson in the crowd. She gave him a small nod. He walked down a long aisle toward a raised platform at the center. Each step felt unreal, like he was watching himself from far away. Then he saw Alindra, and everything else disappeared. She stood at the platform in armor made of living crystal. It had been worn by her ancestors for 100,000 years. It caught the light and scattered it into a halo around her body. Her 4 purple eyes were fixed on him. They were shining. She was the most beautiful thing Danny had ever seen. He climbed the steps and stood beside her. The High Priestess of Valoria approached. She was ancient, so old that her silver skin had become almost transparent. You could see light pulsing through her like a heartbeat. We gathered today to witness a bonding, the High Priestess said. Her voice was soft, but it reached every corner of the temple. For the first time in our history, the royal line of Valoria will be joined with another species. This is a moment that will change the course of the galaxy. She looked at Danny and Alindra. The bond you formed today is not just between two people. It is between two civilizations. Two ways of seeing the universe. Two different kinds of strength. She held out her hands. Two rings of light appeared, floating in the air. Alindra Vorthas, heir to the Valorian Empire. Do you accept this human as your consort? Will you share your life with him, in joy and in sorrow, until the stars themselves grow cold? Alindra's voice was steady. I accept. I will. Danny Cortez of Earth, do you accept this Valorian as your partner? Will you stand beside her, support her, and love her until your final breath? Danny looked at Alindra. 2 weeks ago, he had been a maintenance worker worried about a bad smell in Section 12. Now he was standing in an alien temple, about to marry a princess. Life was strange. But standing here, looking at this woman who had seen something in him that no one else had, Danny felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. I accept, he said. I will. The rings of light moved. One wrapped around Danny's wrist. The other wrapped around Alindra's. They pulsed once, twice, and then sank into their skin. Danny felt warmth spread through his body. He could sense Alindra in a way he had never sensed anyone before. Her feelings, her thoughts, they were connected now, forever. The bond is complete, the High Priestess announced. Let the galaxy know that the Valorian Empire and humanity are now joined. What was two is now one. The temple erupted in light. Music filled the air. Guests rose to their feet, clapping and cheering. Danny looked at Alindra. She was smiling, really smiling. The kind of smile he had never seen from her before. Hello, husband, she said. Hello, wife, he replied. And then, in front of thousands of witnesses, the ancient princes of an ancient empire leaned forward and kissed a simple maintenance worker from New Mexico. The celebration lasted for 3 days. There was food and music and dancing. Species who had never spoken to each other before sat together and talked. For a brief moment, the galaxy felt smaller, friendlier, more hopeful. On the third night, Danny and Alindra escaped the crowds and found a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The 3 moons hung low in the sky, casting silver light over everything. I have a confession, Alindra said. Danny looked at her. What is it? When I chose you in that corridor, I was not certain. I felt something different about you, but I did not know if it was real. Part of me wondered if I was making a terrible mistake. And now? She turned to face him. Her 4 eyes were soft in the moonlight. Now I know I made the right choice. Not because you passed the trial, not because you performed well in the ceremony, but because of who you are. Every day, you show me things about humanity that my people have forgotten. Kindness without calculation. Love without condition. Hope without reason. Danny took her hand. The ring of light under his skin pulsed gently. My people are not special, he said. We are messy and complicated. We make mistakes constantly. We fight over stupid things. We hurt each other for no reason. Yes, Alindra agreed. But you also forgive. You keep trying. You believe that tomorrow can be better than today, even when all evidence suggests otherwise. That is something my people lost long ago. Maybe, with you beside me, we can learn it again. Far below, the celebrations continued. Humans and Valorians danced together in the crystal streets. Children of different species played games they had invented on the spot. For one night, at least, the differences that divided them seemed smaller than the things that brought them together. In a dark corner of the city, Ambassador Kethral watched with hatred in his red eyes. His plans had failed. The human had won. But the Dominion had waited 6,000 years for power. They could wait a little longer. Danny and Alindra did not know about the Dominion's plans. They did not know about the challenges that still lay ahead. Tonight, they simply stood on a balcony, holding hands, looking at the moons. What happens now? Danny asked. Alindra smiled. Now we build something new. Together. A future where my people and yours work side by side. It will not be easy. There will be obstacles, enemies, hard choices. But I believe we can do it. Because of ancient prophecies? Because of political calculations? No, she squeezed his hand. Because I have you. And you have me. And together, we are stronger than either of us alone. Danny smiled. It was not the smile of a prince or a diplomat. It was the smile of a man who had found something he did not know he was looking for. He had started this journey as a simple worker who fixed pipes and drank coffee. He was still that person. He would always be that person. But now he was also something more. A bridge between two worlds. A symbol of hope. His mother had always told him that the universe had a plan for everyone. You just had to be brave enough to follow where it led. Danny looked at the stars above Valoria Prime. Somewhere out there, Earth hung in the darkness. His home, his people. They were counting on him now. Not to be perfect. Not to be powerful. Just to be himself. He could do that. He could do that for the rest of his life. And standing there, with an alien princess by his side and an impossible future stretching out before him, Danny Cortez finally understood what it meant to be human. It meant never giving up. Even when everything seemed impossible. Even when you were scared. Even when the entire galaxy was watching, you just kept going. One step at a time. One day at a time. That was all anyone could do. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, that was enough.